All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to this, shall we? Iconic Hall of Fame director Ridley Scott has seen Fede Alvarez's new Aliens film, Aliens Romulus. Still an odd title. People are going to think it's a crossover with Star Trek. Anyway, and apparently he loves it. Now, that is not as small as you might think, because if you guys remember, Ridley Scott apparently was not all that thrilled with Blade Runner 2049, which I thought was fantastic, like miles better than the original, in my opinion. But some people agree, some people disagree. But I think most of us agree it was fantastic. And then just recently, he talked about Top Gun Maverick, which of course his brother directed the original. And this was Ridley Scott's one-word review of Top Gun Maverick. Meh. That was his one-word review of Top Gun Maverick. So Ridley Scott is not an easy audience to please.
Yet he liked Prometheus.
And yet he thought Prometheus was great. So there you go. So Fede Alvarez is, of course, directing the new one. And he finished his film, and he decided he needed to face the music and show it to Ridley Scott. This comes us from the AV Club, who wrote the following. Even if he didn't ask for it, says Fede Alvarez, I was going to go there and sit at a table and look at him and get it, Alvarez said. Even if he was going to say, you destroyed my legacy, I wanted to be in front of him and see him in the eye. I didn't want to get an email where it says, Ridley says. All this belly aching was for naught because Scott walked into the room and said, Fede, what can I say? It's fucking great. So apparently he loved it. He liked it a lot, which is kind of huge because, look, they've already started this thing, fair or unfair, Aliens and Predator are hard to separate, right? Like when we think of Aliens, because of the way things have gone, we'll also think about Predator. We kind of equate the two in many ways. When something happens to one, we wonder what's going to happen to another. And look, for a couple of years, both of these franchises have not been functioning at peak performance, right? I think it's fair to say that. Well, then a little bit ago, Hulu, of all places, comes out with this Predator movie called Prey. And holy crap, it was great. Like, I firmly believe to this day it's the best Predator movie outside of the original Arnold Schwarzenegger one. I thought it was really a special film. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot. So as soon as that movie came out, a lot of people started asking and wondering, could they kind of do the same thing with Alien? Like, can they resurrect, no pun intended, can they resurrect Aliens too with this approach? And it looks like they're trying. Anyway, you know, Sean, just because Ridley Scott says he likes it, that doesn't mean all of us are going to like it, but it's clearly a hurdle that they got over. Can Aliens kind of go through an image rehab like the Predator did with Prey? Could that be the next one? What are your hopes going into this new one? We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Fume. Quitting cold turkey is great in theory, but you and I both know it's way more difficult than that. And that's why there's a better way to break your bad habits. We're not talking about some fake online promises. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume. And they look at the problem in a different way. Instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavor-aired device that does just that. See, instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. I personally didn't know what to expect when I first got my Fume. I mean, I've never liked vapes, but my goodness, the taste. The first time I tried it, I was completely sold on it. It was incredible. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use the code Campea to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use the code Campea to save an additional 10% off your order today.
Honestly, I'm loving everything I'm hearing about this project. I feel like some of these, both the Aliens and Terminator franchises were ruined by James Cameron. Now, don't get me wrong. Aliens and Terminator 2 are two of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, but he made these awesome slam bang sequels that were just these incredible spectacles that both of those franchises have been chasing that spectacle.
Yeah.
And losing what originally made the franchises special in the first place. Enter Fede Alvarez, who's made a couple of, I would say, great close quarter, tense horror thrillers to do Alien. And I think, yes, how do you bring in a fresh new energy? He doesn't have the same aesthetic as Ridley Scott at all. But I think he's the right kind of person that can bring something fresh and get back to the vibe of the original Alien. Also, as you just said, I love this idea that Hulu is taking these franchises that had, like, for me, top 10 favorite movie of all time level movies back in the 80s and getting back to smaller budget. We don't need to make it a blockbuster and turn it into a 21st century spectacle film. We're about delivering that original experience, get a director that gets that. I feel Fede Alvarez is the right person. So I loved it when he was cast or hired. And then when you have Ridley Scott saying, I saw it, and he's a cranky old man, like you said, he doesn't have any reason to pander. This is like the same reason him, Scorsese, these guys in their 80s, they just say exactly what they're thinking. And if he thinks it's great, and I was already excited, man, I can't wait. If they can do the Prey treatment to Alien, I'm so excited.
You know, something you brought up there too is because when you look at Alien and Aliens, right? Two of the most celebrated genre films ever, but those two films are like completely different, right? Because you got the first one is a very intimate movie. It's a very small number of characters. It's an isolated number of locations. It's very much kind of a horror film. And then you get into Aliens, which becomes one of the greatest action films, more big, bombastic. What they did with Prey was they took the Predator story and then they made it way more intimate again. Small number of characters, really just focusing on this girl, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I wonder if, like you were kind of suggesting, can Fede bring it back to that sort of origins of Alien? Will he be doing that? Will he be making a more intimate kind of story, or will he go, you know, wider in scale? So I guess we're going to have to wait and find out for that. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.